Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking VMAs, past, present, kind of future. We're going to be talking MTV. We're going to be talking music videos, but it all is definitely related and interconnected because I do think it all has a lot to do with this sort of jaded attitude that a lot of people have towards the VMAs, towards award shows, and towards the music industry in general. So we're going to have a big conversation today. So let's just go ahead and get into it. The Video Music Awards, or VMAs, is a ceremony hosted by MTV intended to award excellence in music, primarily music videos and other video format content. Music videos, which were a relatively new medium in the 80s, quickly exploded in popularity. Of course, this was in large part thanks to MTV, which aired its first music video, Video Killed the Radio Star, in 1981. With the rise of music videos, the music industry began to hold looks and spectacle in as high as of a regard, if not higher at times, than musical talent. It became the case that an attractive and popular video could be as instrumental to an artist's career as a hit song. In the 80s, MTV became a sort of hub and tastemaker for music and music culture. In its original format, music videos were played on a 24-hour rotation. VJs or video jockeys were used to introduce music videos as well as music news such as concerts or promotions. Early on, the decision was made to transition from mostly rock music videos to more top 40. When Viacom purchased MTV in 1985, focus was put on structuring the videos into programs and also categorizing them by genre. They aimed primarily to market to teens and young adults who had the free time and disposable income to watch their programs as well as attend their events. Expanding the genres shown saved MTV in those early years because music videos in general weren't as common and a lot of people did not yet have cable. Not only was this a marketing choice, but likely a result of criticism the network received for not showing as many videos from black artists or artists of color in general.
I'm just floored by the fact that there's so few black artists featured on it. Why is that?
I think that we're trying to move in that direction. We want to play artists that seem to be doing music that fits into what we want to play for MTV. The company is thinking in terms of narrow casting.
That's evident. It's evident in the fact that the only few black artists that one does see are on about 2:30 in the morning or to around 6.
The recognition of artists like Michael Jackson on the platform brought more loyal viewers to MTV. Videos like Billie Jean, Beat It, and especially Thriller made it clear that a music video could have an entire plot and characters and be as intricately shot as any film. Additionally, MTV became the place for artists, new and seasoned, to premiere music, of course with an accompanying video. The popularity of MTV and the interest in music videos encouraged labels to shell out more money to their artists to create more extravagant videos. Rock band Duran Duran rose to popularity on MTV because of their high budget and often abstract music videos. Aside from the fans, artists, and labels, movie studios and advertisers alike also recognized the power of a music video. Product placements became common in music videos, and additionally, studios would have artists shoot videos for theme songs or other soundtrack songs and then send them to MTV. The music video would essentially be another trailer or an ad for the film, and a couple of the scenes from the film were often included. Because of the channel's dominance in the pop culture zeitgeist, those who were teens and young adults in the 80s and 90s later became known as the MTV generation.
TV or MTV?
TV or MTV?
TV or MTV?
It was estimated that by 1984, MTV reached more than a quarter of teen TV watchers daily.
There's only one thing that keeps TV from being MTV. This great video music, crazy game shows and dance shows, MTV news and specials. Everybody loves TV, but sometimes you gotta ask yourself, TV or MTV?
I want my MTV.
TV and film critic Candace Frederick said about MTV's power at the time. Pretty much everyone was a celebrity if MTV told us so, and celebrities were to be followed and admired no matter how awful they acted. In the 90s, these so-called celebrities weren't just artists and musicians, but it also extended to people featured on MTV's reality shows like The Real World. As MTV grew, more music programs were added to their catalog. Some of these early programs include Friday Night Video Fights, Headbanger's Ball, Top 20 Video Countdown, and MTV Raps. MTV had several seasonal video shows on and off throughout the 80s and 90s, like The Year in Rock, MTV's Beach House, and MTV Winter Lodge. The most popular and the longest running was MTV's Spring Break, which was a series of beach concerts that would be broadcast on the network. In its original run, MTV's Spring Break ran from 1986 to 2014. It was brought back for a year in 2019. One of MTV's most popular music video shows, TRL, began in 1998. By that time, a lot of MTV's programs weren't music related, with some animated series and the reality shows like the aforementioned Real World having been added to the rotation. A lot of musical content was now on VH1, which was also owned by Viacom, as well as MTV2. But on MTV's main channel, TRL became their most popular music program by far. TRL was pretty much required viewing for teens and young adults across America and in several countries outside of America. Because the show was so popular, for a little while TRL was able to keep young people buying CDs en masse, even after the advent of Napster in 1999. That year, it was still reported that TRL was bringing in over 800,000 viewers daily. Some reports even have this number at over 850,000. Forbes reported that by 2002, ratings had dropped about 20% to roughly 600,000 daily viewers for the next few years. However, by early 2007, TRL only brought in about 370,000 daily viewers. Circling back a couple decades, because music videos had become so prominent, it was only logical for MTV to recognize achievements in this medium, a medium that they helped popularize. MTV conceived the VMAs, with the first ceremony being held in 1984. The VMAs were meant to be more video and pop culture focused than the Grammys. Even today, it's true that artists can be nominated for VMAs but not Grammys and vice versa. And even when artists are nominated for both, they might win the VMA but not the Grammy, or again, vice versa. The VMAs are also a perfect award show for those artists who are popular but don't necessarily have that acclaim that will earn them a Grammy nomination yet. Also, the VMAs boast a more relaxed environment. The red carpets are typically less formal and the ceremony is more colorful. When you watch the VMAs, it's clearly an awards ceremony, yes, but you can also tell that you're meant to be having fun the whole time you're watching.
Tonight has been an amazing night for the both of us.
Yes, it has. Getting to perform on stage at Radio City.
Meeting Janet Jackson.
Eminem.
Anyway.
The VMAs air in the late summer, so depending on who rises, who falls, or who releases in those months after the Grammys, sometimes you get different performers or different performances. And even on its inception, the VMAs didn't struggle to secure performances from big names because MTV was such a powerhouse. Within its first decade, the VMAs secured performances from artists including David Bowie, NSYNC, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, Prince, Aerosmith, Janet Jackson, Nirvana, Aerosmith, and Boyz II Men. Some of music's greatest icons have given some of their most memorable performances at the VMAs. Madonna was an obvious MTV and VMA darling, not only for her extravagant, envelope-pushing videos, but also for her bringing their essence to life in her live performances. She performed Like a Virgin at the inaugural ceremony, of course, to much controversy because she's Madonna. Another hallowed performance of hers is 1990's Vogue performance, in which Madonna did an intricate Marie Antoinette-inspired fan number. Billboard actually has this ranked as the best VMA performance of all time. Another memorable performance is Britney Spears' Slave for You, so much so that the costume and python from the performance can be recognized on site and have become a popular Halloween costume. Britney's performance was from 2001, coincidentally the same year that it was said that the VMA was considered a coveted award. In the early 2000s, the VMAs were bringing in about 10 to 11 million viewers for each ceremony. The VMAs were the award show for artists to be seen at, especially the younger ones, and ones who might have more support from the masses than from the critics. What's considered to be Gaga's best award show performance to date was her 2009 performance of Paparazzi at the VMAs, in which she quite literally bled for the audience. Billboard has it ranked as the 5th best VMA performance of all time. Also, because the VMAs are massively popular, they became another place to make important announcements as well as pay tribute to other artists. Examples include the 1994 video tribute to Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain and Diddy's 1997 performance with Faith Evans in 112, which was a heartfelt tribute to Biggie Smalls on the VMA stage. They performed I'll Be Missing You, which is a song dedicated to Biggie, along with Sting. I'll Be Missing You samples the Police's 1983 song I'll Be Watching You, which is a sample that Diddy is still paying Sting for to this day. In 2002, Chili and T-Boz gave a touching tribute to their fellow TLC group member Lisa Left Eye Lopez after her untimely passing earlier that spring in a car accident in Honduras.
I want to thank MTV. This is a big honor. Lisa would have been very happy. And I want to thank TLC's fans. We have the best fans in the world. This is so hard because it's such a reality check because it's only 2 of us up here.
and she's so missed. But we want to thank everybody for your support and being there for us. We really thank you.
In 2009, Janet Jackson performed a heartfelt tribute to her brother just months after Michael passed that June. It was fitting she performed the tribute at the VMAs as Michael helped popularize MTV. His impact on music and music videos had been recognized back in 1991 when the Video Vanguard Award was renamed the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award in his honor. At the 2011 VMAs, Beyoncé announced her pregnancy with Blue Ivy while performing Love on Top. Also, as someone who watched that moment live, it's just crazy and full circle to see Blue Ivy is now on the stage performing with her mom. The pregnancy reveal broke a site record on Twitter with nearly 9,000 tweets per second. 500,000 tweets about Beyoncé's pregnancy were made in just 45 minutes. Ratings from the 2011 ceremony showed that it was the most watched program for people ages 12 to 34 that year, with about 12 million viewers. Another reason people watch the VMAs is that aside from the performances, the show has developed a reputation for memorable and outrageous moments. Some of these moments include Andrew Dice Clay getting a Lifetime Network ban in 1989.
Well, Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. One came a Spidey, sat down beside, he said, "Hey, what's in the bowl, bitch?" Oh! I dig chicks, I dig them. A little too thin, I dig it though, you know? I hate these chicks you're in bed with and they start complaining. "Oh, my hip hurts." That's why I like these 600-pounders, you know?
Or Fiona Apple's controversial acceptance speech from 1997.
So what I want to say is, everybody out there that's watching, everybody that's watching this world is bullshit. And you shouldn't model your life. Wait a second. You shouldn't model your life about what you think that we think is cool and what we're wearing and what we're saying and everything. Go with yourself. Go with yourself.
Then we also have the Britney Madonna Christina kiss from 2003, Britney's infamous performance of Gimme More in 2007, Kanye interrupting Taylor in 2009, Gaga wearing the meat dress in 2010, and Miley What's Good from 2015. The last really so-called messy moment I remember really happening at the VMAs was all that talk where it seemed like Fifth Harmony was shading Camila back in 2017. And honestly, I don't even think I watched that live. I think I just heard about it on social media and on the news the next day. And then I also kind of remember hearing about people just being shocked and outraged and scandalized that Bad Bunny kissed one of his backup dancers, I believe at the 2020 or the 2021 ceremony. Oh, actually it was last year. After 2020, my whole concept of time has been warped. Especially after social media got big, at the VMAs, we were often watching internet feuds we've been privy to for months play out on stage. Enemies and truces alike were made on the VMA stage. But of course, VMA feuds, or the remnants of a feud being very visible on the VMA stage, that was a thing even before the rise of social media. In the mid-2010s, VMA viewership on MTV began to decrease. Over the decade, the only years to have more views than the previous were 2011 and 2013, where we had the Beyoncé pregnancy announcement and the Miley Blurred Lines We Can't Stop foam finger performance, respectively. In 2014, ratings began to be counted across other Viacom networks that aired the VMAs. In the later 2010s, cumulative viewership across those networks was about 5 to 6 million, about half of the early 2010s viewership, and trending down to what the views were like in the 1990s. And remember, those numbers from the 90s were views from MTV exclusively, not all of the different networks combined together. Cumulatively, 2019 was the only year that decade that saw an increase in viewership compared to the previous year. In 2021, for the first time since ratings were recorded, or possibly ever, VMA viewership dropped below 1 million viewers on MTV, and there are likely several reasons for this. One of the primary ones is that simply a lot of people don't have cable and therefore won't be sat watching the VMAs at their original airtime, whether it's on MTV or whether it's on one of their sister networks. People, myself included, know that for years now, MTV also uploads the clips on YouTube soon after the show, so you don't have to watch the whole VMAs. I'm certain the intent is to have people who didn't sit through the show, even the live stream, to at least watch some of the performances and make it easy for those who did watch to revisit their favorites. But since viewers know they can watch parts of the VMAs they want and just ignore the parts that they don't, that's exactly what most are going to do. But then it's also a double-edged sword for MTV and other award shows, because obviously they'd rather people only watch clips of the ceremony than not watch any of the ceremony at all. I do wonder though if all the YouTube views and streams combined amount to comparable viewership to the time before they put performances online. I would imagine there's still an overall decrease in views since there's one for cable views, but I wonder by how much less. Even before MTV started putting content on YouTube, they did have their own website where they would publish music news, music videos, and things of the like. TRL was actually canceled in 2007 because so many less people were watching the show because they were getting their music content online rather than from the television. And for a while, in that late 2000s, early 2010s timeframe, music videos were king online, especially on YouTube. But now in the 2020s, it's become evident that people watch less music videos than they used to. That was not something that I realized was happening across the board until some of you guys mentioned it, but I have noticed that it's true for myself personally. And I was reflecting on why I don't watch as many music videos anymore, because, that's the sort of stuff I reflect on. And I think the simple answer is I just don't come across them as often or always feel as compelled to seek them out anymore. Like, maybe 10 years ago was the last time I remember consistently watching video countdown shows, so then you're watching a bunch of music videos in that same time frame. But now, rather than stumbling across music videos like used to be more common, you kind of have to seek them out. And that kind of made me wonder why labels or the artists themselves don't also put their music videos on TikTok, especially now that you can have longer videos on there. Maybe it's because the TikTok revenue is significantly less than YouTube, and then they just want people to go to YouTube to get that revenue, but I'm not entirely sure. In the comments on my record labels are depressed videos, someone commented that TikTok killed the video star, and that's exactly what it's feeling like. But the irony there is that TikTok is still a video platform, but its infusion with the internet seems like the biggest hurdle to tackle. And back on the topic as to whether people watch less music videos, the answer seems to be a resounding yes. I came across so many articles, mainly from 2020 and 2021, asking why music videos as an art form don't feel as relevant as they used to. One reason is that for a while, music videos were a main source for free, legally free music. So if I didn't have an artist CD and I know they have a popular song out, my chances of turning on MTV and just hoping for the best would have been pretty good. Or if it's 2008 and I'm a child with no money, don't want to ask my parents to buy a song on iTunes, and my flip phone doesn't access the internet, I can look up the song on YouTube. And while I'm there, I may as well watch the music video rather than just listen to the audio. And of course, all of that stands, and especially more so before YouTube and MP3 players and cell phones existed. Nowadays, I feel like if people want to hear a song, they're more likely to open Spotify or Apple Music or another streaming app to hear the song, especially if it's one that they've already heard before. I have noticed, though, that Spotify looks like they're trying to incorporate more video content. Also, this is such a small thing, but I do have to wonder, especially for iPhone users, if not being able to keep YouTube open in a different tab for years made people less likely to watch music videos. Because now I will watch a music video or a live performance on YouTube while I'm on my phone and just doing something else, but beforehand, pretty much the only option to use your phone and hear music at the same time was an audio-only streaming app. Music videos and award shows too, honestly, used to serve the function of not just promoting music to the fans, but giving the fans a chance to see those artists. Back in the day, if it wasn't award season or if the artist wasn't currently promoting music or in the tabloids, their music videos would be one of the only ways to really see them. Now we see pictures and videos of celebrities, ones they've shared as well as ones shared of them almost daily. But honestly, as valid as that mindset is, or as many times a week as I see Dua Lipa on the beach, to me it's still not the same as a live performance. Because now it feels like with some of these artists, the only places we do see them is on social media, so it feels kind of inverted from past days. And I want to come back to a point I made earlier where the VMAs became known for those more outrageous and later viral moments. While it was never the only reason that people watched the VMAs, it certainly was an extra draw. But now I feel like with social media, a lot of us are desensitized to those crazy moments. Because if I scroll on TikTok or Twitter for 30 minutes, I'll probably come across 10 public freakouts, arguments, or otherwise heinous things I never would have seen otherwise. And of course, there is that added element of, but it's a celebrity acting up at an award show. But I still think the likelihood of something crazy happening isn't as much of a pull to watch an awards ceremony anymore when we already virtually witness so much craziness all the time. And now you don't even have to wait until the next morning to see the craziness either. It'll be on Twitter and TikTok 30 seconds after it happens, even before the YouTube videos are made. Not only do people watch less music videos, but it's widely known now that MTV barely plays any music videos themselves. Soon we're gonna get to a point where people probably don't even know that MTV used to be a music channel, or what does the M stand for? Because now it's a lot of, ridiculousness and other reality shows. And MTV was a network that established itself as a source of whatever hot was going on in music and pop culture. So I think the VMA decreased viewership can't just be explained by I have the internet and every artist sucks now, but also the interest in the VMAs is reflected by the weight that MTV holds on music culture, which has been declining. Also, because that monoculture is disappearing, people are likely less concerned with which artist wins what award, and I mean that in the sense of seeing the award as a genuine recognition of that artist's talent, not just something thrown in someone's face on Twitter. Most of us would truly like to see our favorite artists get accolades from the experts or even from their peers, but now we're well aware that that's not how most award shows work. And some of you guys even reminded me that even though the VMAs have been fan voted since like 2006, I believe, the fan vote is not the be-all end-all either. Personally, my favorite part of the VMAs or any music-related award show, as I'm sure is most people's, are the red carpet, the performance, and the spectacle aspect of it. I wouldn't even care if they just did an MTV festival or a showcase where I get to watch a bunch of live performances all at the same time and they don't hand out a single award. But like I've said before, if labels aren't making as much money and independent artists don't necessarily have the budget, then that just may be wishful thinking on my part. And I do have to wonder if we'll ever get to a point where award shows or these really big industry-wide ones really aren't a thing anymore, because I do feel like that's the direction that we're heading in. Another thing related to performances is I've realized that I've had this personal bias that, after like 2015, most of the VMA performances were trash, they weren't iconic, and are leagues worse than any performance that ever came before it. But looking back and actually thinking about it, we have gotten several decent performances since then, albeit less than in previous years, but I do think it would be a stretch to say that there have been 0 decent VMAs performances in the past few years. But as many of them as I do like or did enjoy, I would have a hard time calling any of them iconic. Part of what makes something so-called iconic, especially a performance or an award show moment, is not just the moment itself, but also the collective witnessing of it and collectively remembering it. Like yes, Britney walking with a python on her neck is a show-stopping moment, but had it not been broadcast to nearly 11 million people, it likely wouldn't have gotten all the buzz it got. It also wouldn't have been considered iconic if people weren't going crazy over it when it happened and talking about it for years after. Same with those other iconic VMA moments I mentioned earlier. Part of something being iconic is the collective aspect and sort of the unspoken agreement on it. But when there's not really a collective, then it's harder for those iconic, we'll be talking about this for years to come, it's general pop culture knowledge moments to emerge. I say that to say, even if the VMA performances, or let's say any award show or live performance in general isn't any worse, if less people are talking about the moment or watching it at all, it's hard for it to become iconic. And then if the performance isn't great, then that's just a whole other can of worms in and of itself. It is worth it to note that last year's VMAs, the 2022 ones, saw an uptick in cumulative viewers across all Paramount networks at 3.9 million viewers. The year prior, 3.7 million cumulative viewers tuned in to watch. The show's producers pointed to things like Nicki Minaj receiving the Vanguard Award or Taylor Swift announcing Midnights as to reasons more people may have watched. About this, the ceremony's producer, Bruce Gilmer, said, "We were super focused on putting a lineup together that served the widest demographic. We put a tremendous amount of effort and time into creating a show that would speak to all of the demos, the younger cell, the mid cell, the upper cell, and beyond. Our aim was booking relevant talent, but also paying attention to all demos so we don't turn off the core audience while we're trying to speak to the upper end of our demo." Jesse Janovich, Gilmer's co-producer, said that inviting performers from other countries catered to more potential viewers and only having American artists perform. Still, the views from the 2022 VMAs were a noticeable decline from 2019 and 2020's viewerships, respectively pulling in 6.8 and 6.4 million viewers cumulatively. So if the numbers don't lie, which they rarely do, it seems like for the VMAs, as is the case with a lot of award shows, their best days are unfortunately behind them. Honestly, I do feel like quite a bit of what I touched on in this video could be applied to award shows in general, because I feel like a lot of the attitudes that people have towards the VMAs apply to award shows in general. And honestly, it's just sad to see because the VMAs are fun. Like, the VMAs were my Super Bowl, and I think they actually did have the nickname of being the youth Super Bowl just because the VMAs were the thing to watch if you were a young person and if you loved music every single year. Also, just let me know in general, do you watch less Western? I guess I should say Western because I think this is a Western issue. But do you watch less Western award shows or music videos than you used to in the past? And if so, what are some of the reasons why? And also, is there anything that could happen that could get you to watch a Western award show? Like, you know, if you're not watching the Grammys or the VMAs, what would they have to do to make you watch again? Or has that ship just sailed? But yeah, I just feel like we're sort of in this limbo space now with the internet and social media and technology where we do know how to use it to discover some really good things and some really terrible things. But it just feels like stunted. Like everything, it's like I have access to everything, but it just doesn't hit the way it used to. And I feel like a lot of people agree. But yeah, let me know all of your thoughts on everything I touched on in the video. The VMAs, were you an MTV kid? Were you part of the MTV generation? You know, even if you're younger Gen Z, because we're technically not the MTV generation, but I think if you're in my age bracket, at least when you were younger, you probably were watching MTV a lot. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts on anything in general at this point. As always, thank you so very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you can stick around for more. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter. That way you can keep up with me there. And if you want to become a channel member, you can click the link in the video description. Again, thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much, and we'll see you so very soon. Bye-bye.